Hi there. How you doing? Welcome to Randomania. You are home for all the randomizers in the primary channel of the 2018 Dragon Warrior Randomizer Tournament. Thank you all for your patience. I know we're starting a smidge late here. Yeah, hi. There was somebody beeping or something. But anyway, I'm Gameboy F9. I'm joined by Ryu, Station, and Ferran Burgundy. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Hello there. All right, so this is going to be a nice, simple. Here are the opening matches. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about the format. There is no format. It's just a big black box. So we're just going to make up the rules as we go along. How does that sound, everybody?
Everything's made up and the points don't matter. It's like, whose line is it anyway? Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm game.
I always wanted to do that show.
I did that a little bit, like my community. Anyway, let's do the actual format. We are playing with the standard flags throughout. The runners can agree to do like stuff like big swamp mode, change experience, speed, blah 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 blah. But this is not like any other randomizer tournament out there. We do it pretty much like most of the sports balls. You play with the same rules throughout the tournament. So, and no, we're not going to play Chaos Mode, and we are not going to take up Tristal's suggestion and play Final Fantasy Randomizer instead. That definitely would be against the rules. We are going to have a 5-round Swiss tournament. That is going to transition into a single elimination bracket. Nice and simple there. If you wind up with 3 wins, you get to move on to the bracket. At least 3 wins. If you get 4 wins or more, you will get a bye from the first round. And then, if you wind up with 2 wins, you will have a chance to get into the bracket via a play-in race, also known as the last chance race, and it kind of literally is the last chance race in auto racing, because only like 3 people are going to get in. Anywhere from 2 to 4 people are going to get into the tournament through the play-in. And let's see, I think there's one more slide. Oh, yeah, single elimination. Oh, okay. I said that twice. That's what Ryu was telling me about in the green room. The final 4 is the best of 3. With the exception of the 3rd place race, that will be a best of 1. Let's see. Ferran and Ryu, did I get everything?
Let's see, did you mention the single elimination bracket?
Oh, wait. No, actually, it's a quadruple elimination. No.
So you're saying this is going to be single elimination?
Yeah, I do
not
believe
5 elimination. Yeah, not 5-round elimination. No, don't get it flipped here.
Yeah, right. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and begin the matchups. There are 42 runners in this tournament. That is 10 more than the previous tournament, so a nice 30% gain, which we thank all of you for joining this tournament. I think this will be very exciting. This will yield to over 100 races that will be restreamed. A lot of them will be on Randomania. There might be some other races somewhere else. We're not 100% sure with that. But anyway, let's get started. Let's start off with the very first person we drawn. Oh, and before I go there, I should mention that these races were drawn Sunday morning, or this morning, I should say, about 12 hours ago. It was witnessed by JJ Smith and Sparkover. So if I rearranged the matches incorrectly, I'm sure they will call me out. So, but many thanks to JJ and Sparkover for witnessing. It's also recorded if we have to get there, but hopefully we won't have to do that. So let's get started. We start off with WMD88, one of our newest runners, but I know he's been putting a lot of work into this, so hopefully that'll turn into a good showing.
A little bit of learning on the fly in his part, as I was subject to a couple of his early seeds that he was running, just streaming for the very first time of Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and his ability to learn and adapt has grown very quickly. So WMD certainly could be a sleeper, even if he doesn't. Even if he still has a lot of development to do. I think the development that he has already done shows that he can learn and adapt very quickly, and could certainly cause some trouble for a lot of the racers here in this tournament.
And he's definitely no slouch when it comes to Dragon Warrior. We see, he does have, for Dragon Warrior no manipulation, he is part of the Sub-6 club. So he is definitely familiar with the Dragon Warrior mechanics. It's just getting a little bit more used to the randomizer, and that's about it.
Yeah, he also is pretty good at Tetris. And he is part of a club I am not in. I am not in the Sub-6 club with Dragon Warrior no manip. So, yeah. Alright, so let's introduce his opponent, and unfortunately, he's gonna have a pretty tough one. How about the second place runner of the 2017, the last year's tournament, Mr. Holmes?
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's it's gonna be it's definitely gonna be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. However, in the words of Chris Berman, that is why we play the game.
So
Yeah, the only thing
and Mr. Holmes back. Is that where you're going with that? Keeping the going.
Yeah.
I can at least say this. At least I'm not going against him first. Get the big heavy out of the way.
Well, Mr. Holmes also plays a lot of golf. I believe he's got world record in the NES golf category, the black box golf, and he's also really good at golf randomizer. I've seen him run that a few times and somehow got that solved. So, yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next contestant, Captain Green 7, who participated in the Chaos Tournament. Didn't, I think, wound up like 0-2, 0-3. Might have, I think he might have been in that one where there was like a 3-hour seed and they were just like, okay, it's a draw. But
that is correct.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will say that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Draw.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry I interrupted you. But I should also mention, though, Captain Green has been participating in the Battle Royale. Zelda 1 Randomizer Battle Royale has been doing a really good job of it. So maybe that'll carry over into this. We'll find out. Oh, Ron? I don't know if Ron or Rio have anything to add.
Well, I mean, Captain Green certainly has, as I was mentioning, the experience as far as in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament, battling for almost 4 hours with, I believe it was Caton 619 before resulting in a draw. So the endurance is certainly there, and that definitely could play a factor. If something goes long, you know that the advantage could at least go to Captain Green because he's withstood those lengthy battles.
That is true. Some of these, even these normal flags, some of them can just become a real grind fest if the stat gains just aren't there.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned the endurance factor. I do remember Captain Green as part of that battle royale. He was crazy enough to do this one-hit knockout swordless tournament as part of the battle royale. So he's playing these 2-hour seeds, and normally these seeds take an hour. So, and he wound up second and nearly beat the champion, whose name eludes me right now. But yeah, so that's what we're looking at here. Let's move on to his opponent, and similar to WMD, it's going to be a very tough one. Tristal. I mean, that list says it all. He is one of the RPG randomizer gods out there, especially with the NES RPGs. he's like champion of 2 things in Final Fantasy Randomizer. Nearly won the Chaos tournament as well, only losing to High Spirits. So, and last year he lost to Mr. Holmes and NES Cardinality, 2 people who I wouldn't feel terrible about losing to those 2. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know I've personally had, I don't know if I guess maybe the displeasure of going up against Tristel in some races, and he is definitely a tough opponent. First couple of races he did were quite some long ones, but he came into it quick and just got everything down very quickly, started running the ranks. I mean, he is definitely sharp when it comes to any race he's in.
And I had to respond to chat. There were folks who were kind of starting to tag the proverbial toes of some of the runners here. Now, an opening loss doesn't necessarily mean they're eliminated from the tournament. It just means that they have a little more work to do to get into the field, as it's a 5-round Swiss-style tournament. So they could theoretically lose their opening one and come back and rattle off the next 4 and not only advance, but get a bye.
This is very true, as Tristel did exactly that in the Chaos tournament, losing the first round to It's Too Early.
Yeah, and except Tristel's already predicted that he's going to go 0-1, so okay. But anyway, Tristel's going to be very difficult. Definitely going to be one of the players in the conversation to win it all, so we'll see how that goes. Let's go on to our next match. We're gonna start with this guy. I'm going to yield to Ferran on that.
Yeah, another one of the heavy hitters, to say the least. Game Boy F9, very involved in the Dragon Warrior randomizer community. In fact, creating the randomizers for Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, and as well as running this game. As you can see on the screen there, he is the defending champion of the standard Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament, and also not too shabbily finishing runner-up in the inaugural tournament to the aforementioned Mr. Holmes.
Yeah, definitely I'd say that's another one of those do not want to go up against in the first round players. Although if you do have to take one of them on, that may improve your chances a little, putting you in a little bit of a lower range there.
All right, so I am intentionally not commenting, but we're gonna move on to my opponent, and that's gonna be Tyrannex jumping from the Final Fantasy randomizer community. And what do I say here? It is going to be a challenge, probably. However, again, that's why we play the game, and I have been known to make mistakes at some point. I mean, I nearly lost my first round match last year, so we'll see how it goes.
The difference this year is that there's no, I guess, moving down to the bonus bracket as has occurred in the tournaments past. It's not the double elimination format. So there are plenty of opportunities, and with the 5 rounds, that definitely has a chance to settle the proverbial cream to the top, and those who still need a little bit of work, well, it may kind of leave them on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting match. I mean, although SRR ranks don't mean a whole lot, you do see Game Boy F9 being in 2nd place, with Tyrannex being in 59th. It means a little something there, at least.
JJ Smith with the tip: don't challenge Game Boy F9 to speed hacks. Well, says somebody who almost defeated Game Boy F9 in speed hacks sometime last week. So, but it is true. I have won a lot of speed hacks. But let's move on to the next match. Will Wagner Music is the next person we're going to talk about. I believe it's his first ever tournament, at least as far as classical video games are concerned. But I have been noticing that he has been practicing Dragon Warrior Randomizer a bit, so we'll see if that works out.
Yeah, it's always great to see these newcomers coming into the community. I mean, we've had the randomizer out for how long has it been now? 2.5-ish years?
Yeah, probably pushing 3 now that I'm thinking about it. Something like that, yeah.
Well, even if it is almost 3 years old, still getting new people joining and playing, it's still just as popular as ever and growing. So it's always great to see.
And with those newcomers, you don't necessarily know what to expect. And looking at it from a basketball standpoint, I mean, one of these runners certainly could be the proverbial UMBC to a higher seeded Virginia, pulling off that 16-1 upset in the NCAA tournament. Somebody could easily, well, maybe not easily, but somebody could certainly pull off an upset here and surprise and shock everybody among some of those in the top ranks that we've already seen, and even a few that we haven't mentioned yet.
Alright, let's see Will's opponent. It is Ouijawee, the reigning Dragon Warrior any % world record holder, if I'm not mistaken. Has done quite well in previous Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournaments. Obviously, when you get into the any % world record, you're going to typically dive through Charlotte blind. There are only 2 people that I know of that would do that. Well, maybe 3 if you count me, and that is very rare for me to do that. Ouijawee is going to be a tough opponent. So it's definitely going to be another one of those matches where it's going to be a challenge for the underdog, but we will see how that will phase out. Ron?
I pretty much summed it up there. I mean, Ouijawee is very accomplished in the vanilla version of it. I mean, in this case, no RNG manipulation as in the any %, but never know how things are going to go until it rolls out there. But yeah, what can you say? It's well, I guess you've already said it. It's we'll see how it shakes out once these races start occurring.
Yeah, definitely good at memorization, as you have to be with that manipulation. So if we see some larger maps out of his races, they definitely will not be affecting him. Some of those larger maps, it can be difficult remembering where your towns, your caves, and locations you need to go to were.
Yep, and I should also mention he has another notable world record, Kung Fu. And I think he also has the RC Pro Am any % record. And he plays a lot of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He's played Little Mermaid in the past, DuckTales. So, plays a lot of games. So, on that note, let's move on to the Alan Heffley, who he participated in the Chaos Tournament, went 0-2 before he had to withdraw. Coming back here for the Standard Tournament, giving it another go at it. He is the organizer now of the Zelda 2 randomizer tournaments, and helps out with a lot of stuff. Does a lot of tracking for various games, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Dragon Warrior, pick one. So, yeah, hopefully things will work out. Ron.
Well, as noted in chat here, of course, from the University of Kentucky as well. Can't forget that. What that factors in as far as the tournament, I have no idea, but it almost seems like an obligatory mention whenever the Allen Heffley is thrown in there.
Well, I mean, Kentucky's good at basketball, so you got that going.
This is true.
And I do remember I watched his Chaos Tournament races, and they were actually some very good races. So look forward to seeing what he can do in a normal setting when things aren't so chaotic.
All right, let's move on to the next Shailasia. jumping from Final Fantasy Randomizer. Last year did pretty well in that tournament, finished in the upper echelon. This year, I think he wound up 2 and 3, so wasn't able to make it to the brackets this year. So as a result, we have 2 players that are not ranked on SRL yet. So I think this is going to be a very interesting race. I think it will be a very competitive race. So we'll see what happens.
Compared to some of our matches so far, this is one of those ones where there's no speculation as to who's going to win this one, since they're both newcomers to this. Shaileja also a avid Final Fantasy IV free enterprise player as well.
Definitely something about mystery, to say the least. But let's see, who do we have next here, Game Boy F9?
Next we have Centroid41, who has been dealing quite a lot of damage to in the casual races, winning his fair share. So it's definitely going to be he's probably going to cause quite a lot of misery to runners throughout this tournament.
He's quickly rising in the ranks. I've had the chance to commentate a few of those Wednesday Warrior Weeklies, and Centroid is usually among the top of those races, usually in the top 3 or 4 on a consistent basis. So the fact that he's able to show that consistency in a race format in a very short period of time. I mean, even Crystal noting here in chat that he's ranked in SRL as 21st, but could be a top 8 runner here in this tournament. So definitely a sleeper pick if you're putting odds out there.
And that is another one of those runners that I have had the pleasure of racing against, as well as watching many times in those races, doing commentary. And yeah, I would definitely say Centroid's another one of those ones to look out for.
All right, and Centroid's opponent, It's Too Early, who finished 1 and 2 in the Chaos tournament, but that one victory was against Tristal.
I mentioned earlier that upsets can happen at any point, and that certainly was one of them. A lot of people just presumed that, all right, Tristal's just going to walk here and move on, and well, he was able to rebound nicely and make it all the way to the finals of the Chaos tournament. I mean, that just shows that you can't necessarily count anybody out.
Yeah, and that race, that was another one of those endurance races. As you mentioned before with Captain Green, that particular race with It's Too Early and Tristal, which was the win that It's Too Early had in the Chaos tournament. It was one of those endurance races. I mean, he fought it out and made it through.
All right, let's go to the next matchup, and that will be Silverfire. Wow, what can we say about them? So Silverfire is a quintessential RPG player. Finished very well in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament. Like, they lost in the winners bracket, and then they proceeded to defeat BT, Ouijawee, Unos, Jackamus, and they nearly defeated Tristal last year. So it was a very impressive run. They're now in the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League. Look forward to seeing Silverfire in that. Made the play-in from Final Fantasy Randomizer. Just a really good randomizer player Silverfire is.
I mean, go ahead.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, looking at Silverfire's list of progression, especially just looking at the place progression, going from the 9th place, then fell a little bit in Final Fantasy Randomizer to 17th, and then last year's DWR to 5th place. But, I mean, all 3 of those are still high places, so definitely somebody to look out for with Silverfire, as they do perform well in every RPG that they've participated in so far.
One thing that stood out to me, and I'm going to mention this regarding, well, actually Silverfire and their opponent as well, but I'm looking forward to the post-race commentary of this, as both Silverfire and the yet-to-be-named opponent are known for being rather charismatic, and that's something that actually drew me in along with the gameplay when watching the 2017 tournament, when it was put up on YouTube. That's what got me to stumble into this community, and now here I am doing commentary for it some 9 months later.
Well, let's talk about that charismatic opponent. Chitin619, from the Final Fantasy Randomizer community, also participated in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament, and he ran into Slimus from Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. He was the first one to run into that. I have yet to run into Slimus. I'm sad about that, but if I'm not so therefore I would consider this an all Final Fantasy Randomizer match here. So, but it is going to be a challenge for Chitin to defeat Silverfire. Silverfire is good. Fran?
Yeah, I mean, I think not that I wanted to give any individual analysis for any of these matchups, as I'll save that for should I be commentating on it. But I think if I were to throw any kind of analysis out there, I would say that while Silverfire is experienced, I think the one thing that may make or break Chitin is I guess for lack of a better term, the persistence. Sometimes that persistence turns into over-persistence, and that I think is what has led to a few less than desired finishes. So, I mean, that may be something where perhaps there's been an adjustment between the previous tournaments that we've seen, including the Chaos Tournament about 4 months ago, and how that, if those adjustments were made, then Chitin could certainly give Silverfire some trouble.
Don't think there's too much I can add to that. I have also had the pleasure of seeing the Slimus, however.
Oh, well, gee, maybe I should play more Free Enterprise. All right, let's move on. Next, our next contestant, Amazing Toaster, who is pretty darn good at Zelda 1 Randomizer. Did participate in the Chaos Tournament. Also participated in the Zelda 2 Max Rando Tournament. So Amazing Toaster plays a lot of randomizers. So in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, I might have. We'll see how much he's practiced, and we'll see how it goes. Ron.
Well, I mean, again, my knowledge is pretty much encompassed here into the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. I mean, I've dabbled a little bit in some other things, but I mean, having seen Amazing Toaster here in the Chaos Tournament earlier this year, I guess I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I mean, Toaster certainly showed some promise in that, and whatever adjustments were made between then and now certainly could allow him to shoot up the ranks and turn what some would presume as upsets into further victories and progression even into the single elimination tournament.
I could definitely agree with that. I mean, he did go 0-3 in the Chaos Tournament, but I have seen some of Toaster's races here recently as well, and there's definitely been a lot of improvement there.
All right, let's move on to his opponent, Azriel Ravenheart, who made it to the brackets of the Chaos Tournament. So, and also has done well in Final Fantasy Randomizer. So it's definitely going to be a very competitive race. That's coming up here in round 1. Ron?
I was gonna kind of maybe hold off on everything, just I think for the sake of time and whatnot. As I mean, we've got 42 different runners that we're going through here, so I mean, for each of us to give some sort of a tidbit here, I mean, we'll be ready to start by the time of the beginning of the 2019 Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we'll move on. Let's talk about Eternal Newbie. So there are 4 people that I know of that have won their second randomizer race, Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Jay Coper in like the second ever race, Jackamus Wedge, who is in the 6th ever race, Game Boy F9, several months into the randomizer, and now Eternal Newbie, and he didn't beat he beat High Spirits. So watch out. This Eternal Newbie could be the Mr. Holmes of the 2016. Mr. Holmes was number 12 in that tournament and won. So oh my, he's gonna be really good. I think. All right, go ahead, Ryu.
I was just gonna say I can't wait to see who he's gonna go up against. With so far Eternal Newbie's track record, it can definitely be a landslide race or it'll be a really good race.
Well, gee, I wonder why you would say that. Yes, he will be playing Ryu Station, person who just last spoke. Did very well in the Chaos Tournament, 5th place, and has a really... this is going to be a very competitive race. Really looking forward to this race. Whoever gets to commentate that's going to be quite happy. So we'll see how that works out. We'll move on to the next. We'll move on to the next one and keep things moving. Tillo, also very good runner. Got to the play-in race of the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament. Had a great race with High Spirits. I commentated that one. That was really fun to commentate. Looking forward to seeing how he does here. So, anybody else want to add anything? Or
Tilo's been a very consistent name in the Wednesday Warrior Weeklies the last few months, and has been one of those that's definitely hung in there. And also taking a note in chat here regarding that last matchup, Eternal Newbie saying that apparently we're setting the bar pretty high and that he hopes he doesn't disappoint.
All right, so Tillo is going to have quite the opponent, though, in NES Cardinality. He's this is interesting. The last couple of years, NES Cardinality played Dragon Warrior Randomizer a ton before the tournament, and then he faded out and finished 3rd and 4th, or 4th and 3rd respectively, in 2016, 2017. This year, he did a lot of practice, and now he's been focusing on improving the his Zelda 1 No Up and A time. I wonder if that's going to be the key that gets NES Cardinality his first championship. We'll see.
Well, as chat has been, they were referencing some of the bigger names being taken on and out and using something that's in my wheelhouse, a professional wrestling reference of the RKOs out of nowhere, like Randy Orton. Ness Cardinality, he is almost like Triple H in that he is the cerebral assassin when it comes to any game that he takes on, whether it's The Legend of Zelda No Up A, whether it's Dragon Warrior, whether it's Wheel of Fortune. He attacks everything in a very analytical manner and almost dissects everything that he does, and that's something that has allowed him to be a perennial favorite. And I mean, finishing in the top 4 both years, could this finally be the year that Card breaks through and gets that championship?
All right, let's move on to the next match. Lavkian nearly defeated me last year in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament, but took care of things in the Dragon Quest I Super Famicom tournament. Actually wound up being the champion. So yet another dangerous opponent, if I do say so myself. Just to keep things moving, his opponent, Synth Pop, who has run a few races, and this is going to be another one of those interesting races where you never know what's going to happen for sure. And then, again, just to keep things moving here, the next race, Janice Zeal finished 5th in the Chaos Tournament with an excellent performance there. I think it went 2-1 in the Swiss portion. So, and his opponent is the Seawolf 1, and I feel like they've competed against each other here in the Chaos Tournament. I don't remember though, but Seawolf is also in the last 2 Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournaments. Does a lot of commentary with us. Always a pleasure to have him on board. Ferran, were you anything to add about these 4 contestants?
Just say you are correct. Janice Zeal and the Seawolf did meet in the 2nd round of the Swiss round, with Janice Zeal coming out on top on that race.
It's just what I was looking up as well, and yeah, that's so there could potentially be a revenge factor. You never know with some of these, as they tend to. I mean, sometimes they tend to be so long ago that maybe it doesn't come into play, and sometimes maybe a little bit of friendly stewing that goes on, and a potential grudge match that could occur.
All right, let's talk about our next 4 runners. McGrew lost to the tie-dye guy in the Chaos Tournament, author of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, so pretty much the man, the myth, and the legend. But a lot of the top runners have been keeping McGrew in check here, so but obviously since he knows the Randomizer inside and out, he will be a very challenging opponent. Speaking of opponent, his opponent is Bent Glass Tube, who participated in the 2017 tournament. Also participates in a lot of the Zelda 2 randomizer tournaments. And we'll see how he will fare in this tournament. In the next race, we have the tie-dye guy. Speaking of the tie-dye guy, who finished 4th in the Chaos Tournament, losing to Angry Larry in the 3rd place race. And he has programmed the Randomania tracker, which is looking really good. We look forward to showing that to you as our first matches begin. The tie-dye guy's opponent, Jacquemus Wedge, who I mean, you see it right there. 3rd place in Dragon Warrior Randomizer. He was involved in that 3-hour, 20-minute race against NES Cardinality. Was able to eliminate NES Cardinality with that race. And then he ran into some guy named Game Boy F9 and lost there. But and then he did pretty well in the 2017 tournament. Jacquemus Wedge plays very well with the strength agility stat build. So I mean, SRL ranked 8th. I mean, you could argue that he could be 7th or 6th. So there you go.
And just want to chime in, one of our runners here. I want to thank Eternal Newbie for subscribing here to the Randomania Network with the Tier 1 sub. Want to thank you for that. Greatly appreciated.
Agreed. So let's so I guess we'll move on, and I know we're starting to fly here, but let's go to Jake Coper, obviously the quintessential, or I should say one of the quintessential randomizer players, who consistently does well. It's like pick a randomizer and he will do a very good job at it. And I'm pretty sure he does no up and A too, and has done well in that. So, as I said, pick something. He's really good at it. But unfortunately, his opponent is another quintessential randomizer player in Zarnax42, and I'm gonna pause here to let Ferran and Ryu chime in here. But my opinion is there are 42 runners in this tournament, and with the nickname of Zarnax42, I think he wins automatically. What do you two think?
Well, I think I defer to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, as 42 is the meaning of life. We'll see if that's the case here for Zarnax in this tournament.
Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth there. That's always my my response to people, and when they ask me for an answer to something.
We've worked together so long, we're thinking in sync here, Ryu.
Nah.
Yeah, I have a question. The answer is 42.
Well, obviously Zarnax will be arguably one of the people that could take Mr. Holmes and Game Boy F9 down. So we'll see how it goes. Angry Larry is our next player. We're going to talk about third place in the Chaos Tournament. So he, if I remember correctly, I think he hardly practiced the Chaos flags at all on his channel, and winds up third. And I haven't seen him practice the Dragon Warrior randomizer here as well, so might be a good chance that Larry just totally wipes out the field. I mean, and he runs the Elite tournament, so.
I can say from experience, he is a tough opponent. He took me out in the race in our Swiss flags, or our Swiss round in the Chaos tournament, and he's the one that knocked me out of the bracket stage in the Chaos tournament as well.
His opponent, Retro Omega X, who I might have seen him in a race or two, but he's no stranger to the speedrunning community. He plays Zelda 1 randomizer, but he's got world records in RoboCop 2, RoboCop vs. Terminator, Nemesis for the Game Boy, King of Fighters 95, Star Trek The Next. So he's got a lot of records there. So there you have it. So we are going to move on to our next set here. High Spirits, the guy who dragged me into this, into all this. He's the guilty one. He started playing Dragon Warrior 2 randomizer, and that was it. So, and keep in mind that there will be a Dragon Quest 1 through 9 attempt sometime in the next few months. So, also did really well in Final Fantasy randomizer. With two very competitive races with Minochi85, who apparently is nicknamed the Buzzsaw, if I recall. So, and won the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament. Let's not forget that. I mean, let's see his opponent, Lord of the Synth, who made it to the brackets of the Chaos Tournament. There could have been a situation where he could have knocked me out of the first round of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament, because if you saw that race, I lost twice in Sherlock. So, I mean, you never know how it all works out. Data Plet is our next runner to discuss. Plays a lot of Link to the Past randomizer. Seems to be one of the up-and-coming runners, so we'll see how that all works out there. And then we have JJ Smith, So that's going to be a tough opponent. JJ Smits did very well in the Zelda 2 Randomizer Max Rando tournament. And did pretty decent in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament last year. So we'll see how that works out. Ferran, Ryu, your thoughts on these four?
Well, High Spirits, Lord of the Synth. A little bit of a grudge match, possibly, from the Chaos brackets, as High Spirits is the one that took Lord of the Synth out. But, I mean, we see High Spirits is prone to 7th place there in the normal flags tournament. So if you can get above that 7th place area, maybe you have something going for you.
If not, High Spirits may have to get the nickname of Setzer if he gets the 3 7s in a row there.
A little Joker Doom.
There for you, yep.
Okay. High Spirit saying top 6 for losers. Well, gee. Let's move on. Z-Man 050778, who squeaked into the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League just last Tuesday. Also made it to the brackets of the Chaos Tournament this year. And believe made it to the bracket of the Shapes Tournament, Zelda 1 Shapes Tournament. So we'll see how he fares in this tournament. Been doing a lot of commentary, did a lot of commentary for us last year and during the Chaos Tournament. So don't be fooled by that 46th SRL rank. Sparkover is the opponent. So this is probably going to be a very good match. But you can see Sparkover slowly improving. 13th, now 9th. And we have... and Sparkover is actually joining Z-Man territory, so to speak. She's in the Zelda 1 Randomizer tournament just coming up, starting sometime next week. Yeah, and we're seeing the Bears icons right there. Definitely the Queen Bear of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer community. Also like Snorlax, because Snorlax is cool. Anyway, let's move on. Up to NG, who finished 17th in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament. But you can see by his SRL rank, he's improved a lot. So I have a feeling that Up to NG will do quite a bit better with that. But his first round opponent will be BT's. This will be one of the matchups of the first round. BT's... Oh, sorry about that. BT's plays Zelda 1 a lot, but also does a lot of Dragon Warrior Randomizer. Every now and then you'll see him play the 7th Saga. Ferran and Ryu, your thoughts on these four?
Well, these four are certainly formidable opponents who we've seen dabbling, a couple of them we've seen dabbling in Chaos, and we've also seen pretty effective throughout the previous Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournaments. I think the chat pretty much says it all here. You know, another awesome match, another heavyweight matchup, and yeah, BT's a familiar record, even though the name might be a little bit different. We'll leave it at that.
Oh, and by the way, Z-Man's first Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League match will be Tuesday night, and I think that'll be over on RPG Limit Break, but I'm not 100% sure about that. So, Ryu, do you have any comments?
Just to say, I've actually had the pleasure, as with most of these people, to race against them all, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of races with them as well. And I know from experience they are definitely tough to beat.
All right, let's move on. Yeah, this is the last. This is at the last race. This is the last race. The Hangry Canuck made it to the play-in race of the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament and has decided to jump over to Dragon Warrior Randomizer. So I believe his first tournament was that play-in race of Final Fantasy Randomizer, which means he made it to 3-2. So, yeah, let's all be careful about the Hangry Canuck. The thing is, we have another Final Fantasy Randomizer exclusive race, so to speak. His opponent is Edgeworth, who is not only good at Final Fantasy Randomizer, he is good at Dragon Warrior Randomizer. As you can see, finished in a tie for 5th place last year. So, definitely going to be a fun match for sure. Fran, Ryu, your thoughts on these two?
Well, I don't know too much about the player, the Hangry Canuck, although some would argue that I may share a couple of those similar traits to the character name. Edgeworth, I've had. Yeah, that's right. I'm part Canadian. Yeah. But and yes, there are moments where I'm very hangry, including right about now. Humor aside here, Edgeworth is a very formidable player. I've had the pleasure of commentating with him in the past, and he's another one who, well, he brings analysis into the table and certainly brings experience to the table as well, and we'll see how that works here in this tournament, as this the 21st of the first round matchups here.
Indeed. Oh, shoot. I was verifying something. That is the last matchup. There it is, the end. Good luck, everyone. That is the last slide. So, any further thoughts from chat or our commentary crew on the matchups here?
I think that that looks to be it here, although I can see in chat a few disappointed last minute, I guess, wanting to get ins here, and I don't think that I think it's a little past date here now that we've got the reveal.
Yeah, some people are saying, well, I don't know. We've been advertising this tournament for 3 months now, so anyway.
I understand. I know better late than never, but come on now.
Yeah. Well, that's all right.
In this
well,
case,
hopefully we'll get. Why is that tune in there? I don't know. Anyway, all right. So that's gonna do it. We are going to. This is actually not the first tournament reveal of the night. The second, we're gonna have another tournament reveal over on the Alan Heffleich's channel. He's running the Zelda 2 Standard Tournament, and we're gonna raid him in just a second. But first of all, I'd like to thank Ryu and Farhan for joining me tonight.
It certainly was a pleasure, and apologies for creating at least a slight delay here of getting things rolling out, but we ran a little less than an hour. We're pretty much about what we were looking to do here.
Go ahead, Ryu.
I was just saying, it's definitely an exciting reveal. A lot of great matchups here, and a lot of unknowns. So, look forward to finding out how much I'm going to get trumped in this.
Yeah, definitely a lot of unknowns. So it's going to be really exciting coming out. So that is going to be it for today. We are going to raid the Alan Heffley in just a second. But Farhan, I'm going to let you close off with your usual sign-off, so to speak.
Usual tagline here? My goodness, I didn't realize it's become that catchy. Well,
it is.
Yeah, it works out so well. So good luck to all 42 of our runners here, and until very shortly down the road here when we get the tournament started and the schedules in, for Game Boy F9 and Ryu Station, I'm Farhan Burgundy saying, may your moves be excellent and your seeds stay classy. We're now going to go raid the Alan Heffley for the reveal of the Zelda 2 Randomizer Tournament. Good evening, everyone.